well, they didn't waste any time to get us back in Amphibia and be like, all right, here's everything that's happened. How is everyone doing today, guys? My name is D-Codes, and we are here with another episode of Amphibia. This episode is episode 11A of season 3, or 1151A of the series, Commander Anne, which is, I mean, honestly, this feels like such a weird episode to me because of how fast it goes. Like, this goes fast, in my opinion, in terms of, like, what they're doing, what they're talking about, and, of course, just catching us up on what the heck has been going on since Anne and the Planters we've been on Earth. So they didn't really say how much time has passed. I mean, I'd say at the least it's been a month since Anne and the Planters got stranded on Earth. It could definitely be longer, judging by just how much has changed. Like, I mean, see, when they get back, like, they don't waste any time from, like, the last episode. Like, that's literally, it's like, I want to say, like, not even, like, seconds after the end of the last episode is when this episode picks up right where they left off. Just, like, Anne and the Planters, you know, they head back to Wartwood. They see that it's just a waste. It's practically a wasteland. Just all of these of course you have the machines, you have even mind-controlled creatures, like Centipede tries to attack them, and it has a collar around it, and it's purple. And as we find out, it's because of it's actually because of the mind-controlled mushrooms, which, I mean, I like that was called, there was a callback to that, because, I mean, Children of the Shroom was, of course, or Children of the Spore, I mean, that was you know, it ended with, like, ooh, it might not be over. And so I guess my question is, how did Andres find that? I mean, did he stumble upon the Planter home and discover that specimen, and he's like, ooh, I can use the animal life now? So how he controls them is he has collars on them that send the spore into their brains to kind of control them. But yeah, so you have that now, and of course you also have the rebellion, the resistance, which is led by Sasha with her decked out new attire. She looks like it's crazy to look at her because with her new attire, because it looks like a mixture of a Viking and a knight. Like her helmet is kind of like a knight, but like everything else is like a Viking. Like this, she has like a cape. She has kind of like the fur cape. She has just this. Her armor seems a little bit more decked out than previous versions, and even like her hair, like it's grown because of how long they've been there, and they've probably been fighting for a long time. So you've had that, and then of course you have the rest of the war. You have Wartwood, like you have Mrs. Croker, you have Wally, but then you have freaking Loggle. That what? Like Loggle oh my god, he is just buffed. Like, what? I mean, oh my god. I mean, I remember this, his statue of him, he always dreamed of being, like, super buff, so I guess it only took the apocalypse to get him super buffed. It looks so weird. I mean, honestly, I mean, I'm still not used to it. I mean, I don't know if I'll get used to it by the end. I probably will, but oh my god, it's so ridiculous to look at. But yeah, so Anne and the Planters, you know, they find Sasha and the resistance, and it turns out that they're actually hiding out in the Planter family tunnels. Like, that callback all the way back from season 1 from the family shrub, I think was the name of the episode for that one. So I like that. I like that came back, and this is where their base of operations are. They have pretty much, it's like they took like Wartwood and just put it underground. Like, you have the statue, you have the businesses, you have the townsfolk, and so this is basically where they've been, and it's just like, okay, now that we caught you up to speed of what's been going on, it's like, also, like, you know, Sasha's like, Marcy's alive, but she's being held by Andreas. He's been just destroying all of Amphibia. He's been using the creatures, the mind-controlling mushroom to control the creatures. We got to take that out first. And so one of the things, though, is the second Sasha and Anne pretty much like are settled and they got everything recorded, Sasha puts Anne in charge. And I kind of was intrigued by that at first, because I thought, I mean, well, that was I honestly, I mean, looking at it now, I'm thinking of everyone when you see her commander and it's like, well, how does Anne get put in charge? It's like, it would make sense that it would be from Sasha, because at first I was like, oh, like, does the townsfolk believe that she should be in charge? And it kind of does almost work that like that. Like Sasha's like, well, now that you're here, you can lead us to taking down Andreas. And Anne's like, I don't know if I should. And then Sasha's like all in favor for making Anne Boonchoy the commander, and like the townsfolk are like, yes, we trust Anne. So it makes sense though, because Sasha, obviously, every single time she tries to be in charge with Anne around, it doesn't always go well. So I can understand why she wants to at least give Anne a chance to take the reins and lead, so that way she can be the ones calling the shots, and that way Sasha can just be there for her. Of course, that doesn't exactly work when this is a resistance against an evil king. It's like, you might want to have your best in charge. And so even Grime points that out. It's like, you put her as commander, you gave her the helmet, why would you do that? It's like, she has no experience in leading an army. And it's like, Sasha, of course, because yeah, she doesn't want to take control, because he fears that if she does, it's gonna just add more of a wedge between Anne and her and Anne. And even then, it's like, they're kind of like, just like, they're putting their differences aside for what is at stake, and they know that, they realize that, they're like, there's a lot more than just our friendship that we need to worry about, so we gotta take on Andrews and save Amphibia and possibly the multiverse. It's like, so yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it does make sense as to why Sasha does it, and I just kind of was, I mean, okay, so I can understand why they decided to make this a 15-minute episode, or less 11 minutes, because I mean, I feel like if this was like a 22-minute episode, they would have to stretch out a little bit more of like what was gonna happen. And so I think it's just more just getting things settled and like showing like there's a lot happening and we need to really get moving in terms of like getting all this sorted. And it's the execution is really good. Like the way, I mean, of course, Anne being in charge, she's not exactly 100% good with things, considering how so much has changed since they last came to Amphibia, and even the planters have grown soft. Like, oh my god, they are just, man, they are, like, I mean, I know Earth, like, makes things a little bit easier for them, but, like, really? Like, they just come back and they talk about, oh my god, it's so ridiculous. Like Hawkpop is like, I got a grass stain on my pants. It's like, and then it's even like, it's like here, hand sanitizer for your hands. I didn't realize how dirty this place was. It's like, really? It's like, really? I mean, no, get me wrong. I mean, it makes sense, because they've been on Earth, but it's like, they lived in Amphibia before Earth, and now they came back, and it's like, maybe, But, it's how it is. But, yeah, I mean, Anne being in charge, I mean, I kind of was wondering about that too. Like, what if Anne was in charge of the army? And, she does have her moments where she does take charge, and she does know what to do here and there. But I feel like in terms of her leading the resistance, it doesn't make sense. Like, it makes sense Sasha is, because that's kind of what Sasha has been. She's able to lead a large group. She's able to convince people to join her side, and so in this case, she knows how to lead an army of toads. So it makes sense that she would know how to lead a resistance of just people, because we saw in her episode earlier in season 3 that the townspeople can fight. They can fight this army. So Sasha just wanting to make Anne in charge because she wants Anne to actually have that sense of leadership. It makes sense. But I do admit there was the one funny scene where this just reminded me more of Legend of Korra. I mean, it's probably been done in other shows, but Legend of Korra has always come to mind when I think about this. It's you have like the map and you have like the faces of all the group and and it starts off nice and happy, and as they're moving across the map they're running into things, and as they keep going their happiness slowly dwindles and dwindles more. And that's pretty much what it was in this, because their objective was they were supposed to go from the planter house to this factory where the mind control collars were being produced. So they're like, we got to go to this factory and destroy it. However, they seemingly get lost multiple times and they can't seem to get there in one piece, but then they do get there. Of course, it's like, well, that was just, and even like, Anne's like, Sasha, I'm not the best at this. Why don't you be in charge? And Sasha's like, no, you be in charge. You be in charge. Because, it's like, it's complicated. Or, I mean, in Sasha's words, it's complicated. It's like, okay. But, for Anne her and Anne, it really is interesting because, I mean, again, with how much time has passed and what has already happened between the two, it is like, whew, it definitely gets a little bit awkward and complicated, but you gotta talk about it, because, I mean, especially in a situation like this where you have a possible change in the resistance that could possibly affect how things could go, it's like, you need to address that. And they do, because when Anne, Sasha, and the group, they try to infiltrate the factory, things aren't going well. Anne and Sasha break into an argument because Anne's like, I am clearly not cut out for this. You have to take charge. And she's like, no. And Sasha's just like, no, it has to be you. It has to be you. It has to be you. And of course, Anne's like, well, why? Why does it have to be me? Why can't you do it? And then she's like, wait, is this some kind of a new manipulation thing? Are you trying to make me look bad in front of everyone so that way you can do it? And it's like, of course, that is not what her intentions are. However, they don't have time to really think about that, because then they get attacked by a giant snake that eats the entire group. I mean, at first it's like, Sasha, it eats the entire group. Even when Anne tries to help them attack it, it is god awful. So then Sasha and Anne are the only two that haven't been eaten yet by the snake, and then they get into another argument, and that's when Sasha breaks down and reveals why she put Anne in charge, and that was because last time she was in control, she ruined their friendship, so she's like, she doesn't want anything like that to happen again. But of course, Anne in that situation is like, well, one, there are much bigger things than that, and two, you're clearly the better leader than I, and I need to prove that. And so, it's so, I think we just need a compilation of how many times someone's been eaten in this show, because it's climbing. We definitely have a compilation worthy of it. I mean, in this situation, it's probably the funniest and most ridiculous, because in order for Anne to prove that Sasha's the better leader, Anne purposely gets herself eaten by the snake. And I just love Sasha's reaction, because she doesn't even scream. Like, it wasn't what I expected, because you think, oh, she's probably just gonna scream like, Anne, no, or something like that. Or just like scream in general and not say anything. No, she just looks and says, what the heck, Boon Joy? I don't know why, but that is both ingenious and ridiculous to say at the same time. Because, I mean, it's like, basically, yeah, she's just there saying, like, I mean, it's like she's both frightened and mad that it happens. And a bit confused. She's like, what? I mean, it's such a weird mixture of feelings in that line that it's hilarious, honestly, because, I mean, she's gonna get them out. That they're not gonna die. So it's like, for her to just in that moment to scream, what the heck, Boon Joy, rather than like, Anne, or no, or just screaming in general, it's like, okay. But yeah, no, she does get them out. She is able to open. She goes up to the head of the snake and opens it up. But we don't see from her perspective. We see from Anne and the plant and the group's perspective. Because they're in the belly of the snake, and they look up and they see through the mouth open up and Sasha looking down at them. And eventually, yeah, they break out, they get out of the snake, they fight it off, they free it from the collar, and they destroy the factory with boom shrooms, because, you know, of course, boom shrooms. I even love how they set them up, they just, like, plug them into, like, some of the pipes, and, like, they even have one on top, and it's just like, okay, 3, 2, 1, boom. And even Boggle, I love Boggle in this, because, I mean, one, yeah, he's, like, super buffed, and two, he built a bridge for them to get back across, only for said bridge to be destroyed from the explosion. That's just hilarious. It's just great. I love it. But, no, yeah, it's like, after all of that, you know, Anne and Sasha, they talk about the situation. And of course, Anne's like, no, it doesn't matter what happened. You're clearly the better leader in this, and you need to be in charge for this. And so, and even Anne's like, because the fact that you don't want to be in charge shows just how much you've changed since then. It's like, because beforehand you probably would have killed one of us to take charge. But to see here that you don't even want it shows just how much you deserve it. And so it's like, it's a nice touching scene between the two, and I'm glad for the moment we do have that reconciliation between the two. Like, I mean, will their friendship ever fully be restored? Probably. I mean, but we don't fully know. I mean, because, you know, we still have a few things to worry about for Marcy and, you know, Andreas. You know, we have all that to worry about. And even, like, Sasha getting home, because even though Anne's been home, Sasha hasn't. Like, she's been in Amphibia for longer than Anne has now. And it's like, what's going to happen once she does go home? And it's like, a lot of questions that we don't have answers for just yet, but it's just like, oh boy. Okay, let's see. I mentioned all that. I think that sounds about it. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much just like, this is part of this episode was just catching up on what's happening in Amphibia since, and also, you know, Anne and Sasha's situation. It's like, that's pretty much what it's been. So, really solid episode. Like I said, it felt a little quick because this is 11 minutes rather than 22. So it didn't give a lot of time to let things sink in, let things develop, and let things like really build. Like, this was really just like, okay, we gotta lay it all out, so go. It's like, all right, but still solid episode, and I really enjoyed it. So, all right, that was part A. So, let's get on to part B.